Hello, how's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome, and of course, Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 5. Arsenal actually managed to get the job done. There were bigger worries before this game than it was before Crystal Palace. We played in Carabao Cup, but we actually made it work. Now, the big problem is that Saka got injured. Pretty much, Saka got injured, and that is the biggest worry you could genuinely ever imagine for Arsenal in terms of this. But 5-1, I'm super happy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super happy given the fact that I said it will be 3-1. It will be 3-1 Arsenal, but they managed actually to make it 5-1, and that was kind of nuts. Jesus scored 2, Martinelli, Havertz, Declan Rice scored off the bench. That actually was quite enjoyable to watch. Obviously, first half was nothing great. It was actually quite questionable, especially we scored goals and everything. Okay, cool, but Bukayo Saka gets injured. It looks like it's a hamstring injury, so it's not great. Genuinely not great. It might be a very rough one. And on top of that, as soon as Saka went off, they actually kind of gained life. It gave them some extra energy to go forward, and they were controlling quite a big chunk of the first half especially. And you could see that they felt that the threat is gone. Arsenal's main threat is gone, and they don't have to worry as much on the counter. So it's a big worry. I think that is the biggest worry we can actually currently discuss and think about. So how long he'll be out for is a big question mark at the moment. Personally, I'm expecting about I would say between 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how serious it is and everything, which grade and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's nothing great. Although Martinelli stepped into that right side, he played as a right winger, and actually Martinelli was looking very good, much better than he looks at the left wing. And you could see that Martinelli felt more comfortable with the ball, on the ball, off the ball. Even though he didn't have, per se, the wildest and the best performance you can imagine, on that right side, he actually felt more dangerous. His strong foot was on the outside. He didn't have to cut in all the time. And that just proves the point which I was talking about quite consistently. I'm talking about on the streams as well, that Arteta needs to sometimes switch wings around mid-game. Play Saka on the left, Martinelli on the right to see what's happening. Because ultimately I can think that could genuinely help us. Because today we saw how good Martinelli is on the right. How Saka would look on the left, obviously we don't know per se. But obviously that could be one of those things. But before all of that, subscribe, hit that bell, like the stream, share it around. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe and like it. Leave your thoughts down in the live chat. We're gonna tackle them. And if you are watching this a playback, of course, leave your comments down below, because I answer to pretty much every single comment I get. And big up Marlon in the chat. Marlon is here already. We were on fire today, even though Saka was forced off. We scored 2 more goals. Martinelli actually delivered. I would say it was similar like also in Carabao Cup. It was the tale of 2 halves. In the first half, yes, we scored, but it wasn't great. In second half, there were some iffy moments, I'm not gonna lie, but ultimately we actually played some good football. We actually looked much better and more composed than we did in the first half. Especially in the first half, Saliba looked like he was drunk half the time. I would say this game specifically was the worst game I would say Saliba has had in an Arsenal shirt per se. So that is also a big thing. Yes, you could have those one-offs, so it's nothing big in that regard. But if it becomes a reoccurring theme, there could be some worries in general. But yeah, in my opinion, for Saliba today, there was nothing to be super excited about. Arguably, for me, he had the worst game in Arsenal shirt in his Arsenal career. Yeah, Saka. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I expect him to be out 4 to 8 weeks. The worst part is as well, you know this manager, and he will try and force him back maybe. Yeah, Arteta will try to force him back. He will try to force him to maybe get better and play sooner. And that's the worst thing you can do, arguably. That is one thing I genuinely want to avoid. Because he can then get an even harder injury and even another hamstring even, and it could be a much harder, much deeper and much worse one. Jesus is on fire, 5 goals. Dude, Jesus, it's like Palace is his team. Genuinely. Jesus, five goals in 2 games, both against and all goals against Crystal Palace, by the way, hat-trick and now 2 goals. He actually in these 2 games has been quite fantastic, and as closer to Christmas is coming, Jesus has risen. Genuinely. And to be honest, I'm quite happy for him. Either he's playing for the fact that he doesn't want to get sold in January or next summer, who knows, but ultimately the more performances we can get from Jesus like that, there is more to be a reason for him to start and for Havertz not to play. Because for me personally, with Jesus up top, we look much more fluid, much more dynamic in the attack than we look with Havertz. Because with Havertz up top, we look very lethargic, very slow-paced. With Jesus, we actually have some movement, some rotation. We can actually interchange between wings and this number 9. We can maybe, Jesus goes to the left, Martinelli goes down the middle. That's how Martinelli got his goal. Jesus was drifting more out to the left and Martinelli was going through the middle. And if we could do that more often, that actually would be quite advantageous for Arsenal in that regard, of course. Big up Nathan in the chat. Jug says Jesus. Dude, he's not Mudryk. He's not doing that. Rice was decent off the bench. Rice scored a goal as well. He was decent off the bench as well. And that is also the big question. Is it good? Is it bad that he didn't start this game? But ultimately we won 5-1, so we cannot kind of mock around and say that it wasn't good. You are at the end of the day, we won 5-1, and Arteta got his selection right at the end of the day. Even though I had big question marks over Havertz in the midfield once again, even though he didn't have a blinding performance, he didn't look as much as out of place as he looked previously when he has played in the midfield. At the same time as well, he actually looked better in the midfield today than he has looked at striker many times. That is also a bit of a weird one, but it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. For me, Jesus and Raya were 2 men of the matches. They were both phenomenal today. After that blunder David Raya had in the first half, early stages, since then he was quite sublime, made some amazing saves, saved us from being basically 3-2, 2-2 and stuff like that. He saved us big time. And one of the honorable mentions for man of the match, who doesn't get it, but there could be an argument put in that he could, is Miles Lewis-Skelly. I'm not gonna lie, Miles Lewis-Skelly, he had another quite brilliant performance today, in my opinion. He was quite great again. He was dribbling, he was passing, defending, he was doing everything. And he looked very, very good. Something I noticed from Miles Lewis-Skelly that many of our Arsenal players don't do, which is really kind of annoying because it feels like it's like football 101. When he receives the pass, while he waits for the pass at times, he already has opened up his body to run into that direction with the first touch. He has that in him, and I absolutely love that because that gives him that extra quick first step. It gives him a chance to run into open space and get more control of the situation that is going on. And most of our players just stand and wait for them to receive the ball, and they then only start the movement. But Miles Lewis-Skelly actually, he doesn't do that. He actually is already prepared for that movement as the ball is arriving to him. And that is something I really love about Miles Lewis-Skelly. Call of Fury came on, he didn't play well, he had a decent game, but some of the fouls he gave away and some of the situations he got himself into wasn't great. He again went down, I thought, oh, here we go, he's injured again. Luckily he's not, but obviously we'll have to wait and see, but ultimately he had a decent performance off the bench as a substitute for Skelly, and I'm not gonna lie, Arsenal look much better with Miles Lewis-Skelly as a left back than with pretty much any other left back we have had over the years at Arsenal. Better than Zinchenko maybe in the first season per se, but Skelly is more actually, he actually can defend to some extent. I'm not gonna lie, so that was actually quite insane. One thing I will judge, why the hell in this world, Jover, but I think that's on Jover, our set piece coach, why is Miles Lewis-Skelly marking Mateta? Where? Mateta is 2 times taller than him, and when the ball arrives in the box, as Miles Lewis-Skelly is behind Mateta, he doesn't even see the goddamn ball as it comes in. Yeah, here it is, Nathan is also saying that. They put Skelly on Mateta for corners, and he handled that. He handled him, but every time when you look at this situation, it gave me fear. It gave me some sort of a fear that we didn't put a bigger man on him. Because yes, Miles Skelly is more agile, he can get away with it. He can get to him maybe, since he has lower center of gravity, he can maybe do a shoulder shove or something, and that puts Mateta off balance. But ultimately, if the ball comes in properly, if there's a proper passer from the corner and it goes to Mateta, and he times it properly, there's no chance in hell Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to defend that. No chance in hell. That for me is the biggest worry. It's the same levels as Alexis Sanchez was guarding Tarkovsky at times when we were defending corners and something like it's weird. It's genuinely weird for me that one of the smallest players that we have in the team is actually guarding one of the tallest players the opposing team has. And that is a bit of a weird one for me, but I guess it is what it is. Yeah, Miles Lewis Skelly could have been man of the match. For me, man of the match is between Raya and Jesus. But ultimately, you could make argument for Miles Lewis Skelly. He's close there. He's like, if you watch NHL, there are 3 stars of the game. If I had to give 3 men of the matches, like gold star, silver, and bronze, it generally would be Jesus, Raya, and Skelly. Those 3 for me were the standouts today, and that was actually quite nice to see. Genuinely, yeah, Skelly was great. He's amazing talent. Genuinely, he's 17, 18, and he's already playing like that. It's actually quite fantastic to look. Havertz was decent, and Martinelli actually... Yeah, Martinelli actually looked very, very good on the right wing. And as I said about 5 minutes ago, it still then raises the big question why Mikel Arteta never uses this tactic where he switches the wings around, puts Saka on the left and Martinelli on the right. Because Martinelli today on the right was actually very decent. And it also kind of contributed with the fact that Martinelli's strong foot is on the outside. So he can whip in across. He doesn't have to always cut back inside like he does when he plays on the left. So he's on his strong foot many times what he does. So, and it's also easier to chase a ball which he throws by the defender as he tries to outpace him. That for me is a very, very weird one. I hope Saka is okay. Yeah, we cannot afford to lose Saka. If we lose Saka, we are done. I think its season could be already done. But I think Saka, since he had to be forced off already instantly as he went down, I genuinely believe it will be some sort of a hamstring injury and he will be out to 4 to 8 weeks, something in that period. And it's already very bad because he will miss some of our most important games in January as well. And there's North London Derby in there, FA Cup in there and everything. It is a bit of a iffy one, I'm not gonna lie. We're actually playing some great football. Actually, we're attacking. Yeah, that's the thing. This team, for me, Arsenal, as we are built with signings and everything right now, we are made for attacking. Genuinely, we are made for attacking. And why Arteta still persists that we need to defend as much as we do is a bit of a mystery to me. But personally, if you ask me, we should be attacking. We should be doing what we did 2 seasons ago when we just went there and just blitzed teams. We should be doing that more often because the attacking power, even though we don't have clinical finishers, given that how we played and everything, even then when we didn't have very clinical finishers, the amount of chances we created kind of evened out the goals at the end of the day. We actually managed to get it over the line. Bend it like Declan. Raya was amazing, yeah. Raya had that one blunder where he pretty much nearly passed in his own net in the first half, early stages. After that, he saved us big time about 3-4 times. That double save he made again, another for the cameras in a way, but double save Raya made was fantastic of the header and everything. Another phenomenal double save for David Raya. He's very good getting off the ground since he's very small. He has low center of gravity. He's very quick and agile. And that thing, for example, if you're a 6'5" goalkeeper, you're never gonna do that. Since Raya is about 6'1", something like that, he actually can afford to do it. He actually can get off the ground very quickly as a recovery for the second save. And that is something sometimes you very desperately need in the team. Because many times very tall goalkeepers, they make one save, and if the shot is somewhere a bit further from them, there is no chance on how they will recover. But with Raya, since he's very short, he has the ability and the agility to instantly push himself up from the ground and jump again. He has that ability, and if he manages to react quick enough, it's always good, and we saw that today as well. I was saying for past 3 weeks Saka needs a rest. Yeah, he does. He needed a rest already last year and year before that, because we overplayed Saka so much, including the internationals he plays, all the Champions League, Europa League at the time, all the cups we play him in. He needed a proper backup, and we saw Michel Olise in the stands today, watching Crystal Palace game. If we signed Olise in the summer, we would have been sorted in that regard. And Saka needs a backup. We cannot afford to play him pretty much full 90 almost every single game. And I was saying this throughout the whole... I was saying this for the last 2 years, either in group chats or now on the streams as well, for the last half a year, if not a bit more, that Saka needs a backup. He needs a rest. We cannot afford to play him as much. And sooner or later, we're gonna pay the price. Because last year, we lucked out. None of our main guys got injured. This season, we are dropping like flies. Whenever there is the occasion to get injured, we pretty much get injured. and that is a big worry. And now Saka is out. Let's hope he's not out for too long. But it didn't look good because he got forced off instantly. He had to be taken off pretty much instantly. He couldn't continue. The limp jokes were back, and this was for a reason. He was limping now, and it's not a good look. It's genuinely not looking too well for Saka and for Arsenal in the nearest month, if not more. Yeah, he needs to rest more, but let's be real, he doesn't, because we don't have anyone to play him there. Technically, we do someone. By the way, fireworks are going out. If you hear that, I'm very sorry. Beef, puff, beef. I love it. Anyways, but yeah, we have Sterling. Didn't see him today. Trossard came on. Martinelli went to the right, which actually worked like a charm today. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next game against Ipswich we play Martinelli on the right as a starter and Trossard on the left. I wouldn't be surprised. Sterling allegedly as well today, since he wasn't even on the bench, according to rumors, he actually was injured. How he got injured, I don't know, missing the empty net 2 times maybe got him injured or what, but that is also a big mystery. Also, Tillman's monster class today, him and Rodgers playing together was so... Yeah, that was amazing. The way how Aston Villa were playing. Rodgers was fantastic. Genuinely like 10 million, and that was phenomenal. Duran as well, Duran, and all that stuff. He also was fantastic, goal again and everything. And yeah, City haven't won 12 games in a row now. And this is one for me the biggest question as well. A bit of a side note, a bit of side quest in terms of while we talk again about Arsenal with Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola always has been in the teams that are winning teams, that are very big teams, and he has the money to supply the players that he needs to keep winning. The big thing is about Pep Guardiola is, can he build a team? Because most of the time when he has been at Bayern, when he has been at Barcelona, and even at Man City, most of the time he has had already big players to kind of help him to get it over the line. The big question about Pep Guardiola is, can he build team up from nothing? Can he build actually a proper squad? Because currently that will come down to, because we have never seen Pep do that. Can he do it? Will he do it? Who knows? But ultimately we have never seen that. As weird as it sounds, we genuinely have never seen that. For all the trophies, everything he has won, he has never built a team up from scratch in a way. He has never built a mediocre team. He has always had a very team that is blustering, that is insanely dangerous, very attacking, very strong, with world-class players all over the place. For me, that's a big thing. Anyways, that was about Pep and Aston Villa and everything. Back to Arsenal. We looked so great on the attack today, and Jesus finishing right. Yeah, Jesus, like he says he cannot finish, but in the last 2 games, you could never see that. You would never tell that his main threat isn't scoring goals, because the way he took that second goal he scored today from a corner, that was fantastic. The more we can see that, the better, let's be real. As well, I kind of believe it's always the laws of averages that balance each other out in the world, and that's also on a football pitch. Jesus has missed an insane amount of series. This was his first goal in a year, pretty much. Since January something, this was his first goal in Premier League. Since January this year. So overall, I genuinely believe that it's also a law of averages in a way. Jesus has missed countless easy chances to score over this time. And all of a sudden, he scores 5 in 2 games. Both against Crystal Palace, so that was quite interesting as well today, by the way. But ultimately, yeah. It was very nice to see Jesus hitting some sort of form. And if this kind of also proves that Arsenal... We don't need to start Havertz up top. We look much better with Jesus up top. We look more fluid and more dangerous. Now, the biggest issue with this is, though, the more they keep firing in goals, the less of a chance is that we're going to sign a striker, though, isn't it? Let's think about it. Because the reason why we didn't sign actually properly a striker, didn't go super hard for anyone last summer, was because Havertz had a purple patch. Havertz hit a purple patch, good goal scoring form in the second part of last season. And Arteta thought he can bring it that and carry it through this whole season at the end of the day. And obviously everyone knew it didn't happen besides Mikel Arteta, of course, at the end of the day. And the more they keep firing in a way, that more than it means that we're not going to sign an insane striker. That also you need to look at both sides of the coin in a way, if that makes sense. Yes, Jesus has scored 5 goals in 2 games. Yes, he has maybe hit some good goal scoring form. Yes, it's 3 points in the books for Arsenal in the league and everything, and we have progressed through the cup. But the more they score, the less of a chance is that we're gonna sign a striker at the end of the day. It's both. It's kind of double-edged sword in a way. It happened last summer. It could happen again. Who knows? Play Martinelli on the right and give Saka some damn rest so he doesn't get injured and get the left wing, compete with Trossard and play Ranieri there. That's the biggest thing now. Saka is gonna be out for some time because I genuinely doubt that he will be back for Ipswich game. So that means that Saka actually might get some rest finally. In general, even that is like in a blessing in a disguise in a way. Yes, he got injured. Yes, it's bad for the team, and he will have to give some time to recover and kind of get better. But he also gets some rest. So that is some sort of a silver lining for this dark cloud in a way. You can look at it also that way. But yeah, Martinelli on the right, I generally believe that the way he looked today, give him one game where he starts at right wing properly. See what happens. If it doesn't happen, then maybe play Sterling there or something. But generally, try him there. Try him there while Saka is out and see what happens. Just do it. See what happens at the end of the day. Skelly is perfect at left back and Simber is great at right back. Exactly. That is the thing. For all the money, for about 150 to 250, Zinchenko 35. Kivior was 25, that's 60, 90, that's 45, 110, including Calafiori and everything. For about 150 million we have spent on left backs. The best left back we have technically is Tierney, obviously, but at the end of the day, the one who has the most game practice, who is the more match fit, and who actually looks pretty decent is Miles Lewis-Skelly, and he's from the academy, a teenager. So that is kind of ironic, isn't it, at the end of the day? But yeah, we'll see what's going to happen and how that's going to go. Because if Miles Lewis-Skelly keeps playing like this, if he keeps growing and adding to his game, all this money spent on Calafiori, all this money spent on other left backs will be useless. Obviously, we could play Calafiori as the left center back and everything. But at the end of the day, if Skelly keeps playing like that, there is no reason to drop him at the moment. Genuinely no reason to drop him. But you know, we've paid 45 million for Calafiori. It's one of the Arteta's big signings last summer, the biggest one. And as soon as I think Calafiori will get to full fitness, he will start. I think Skelly won't start. That is for me a big issue in that regard. Jesus shot straight at the keeper from... Yeah, he shot straight at the keeper from 8 feet. And that is the big thing. That's the law of averages I was talking about. As much as Jesus has scored now 5 goals in 2 games, at the same time, now, if you kind of balance it out with chances he has missed, like these easy chances, like from 6 feet, 8 feet out, he shots it at the keeper, he hits the post, misses the goal entirely. Sometimes against Monaco, 2 one-on-ones he missed and everything. It balances each other out at the end of the day. So that for me is that's similarly like Havertz at Arsenal. He has the same thing as Jesus. He can score goals, but he cannot do it consistently. And he is not the guy who's going to score 20 plus goals to get us over the line for the title as well, if we would be going for one, right? So at the end of the day, we need a proper striker who can bag those 20 plus goals every season. We cannot afford to live without one. We cannot win the league without one, let's be real. Because but the way Havertz and Jesus are scoring, they're both going to chip in with about 10 to 15 goals by the looks of things every single season in all competitions combined. If it's in Premier League, that is fantastic. If it's all competitions, it is what it is as well. So for me as well, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. So that's why I generally believe we need a proper attacker. Partey was decent today as well. We actually played him in the midfield and he actually was decent. So that's a shocker, isn't it? That's properly a shocker. Havertz and the striker, I like him more as a cam or left center mid. To be honest, Havertz is similar like Emil Smith-Rowe. He doesn't have a specific position where he is amazing at, where he doesn't excel specifically at. He is good in multiple ones, but he doesn't have a specific position where he is fantastic at. Like, for example, Timber, right? He can play technically center back, left back, and right back. Thanks to Arteta, in a way, and thanks to Ajax, of course. He's decent as a left back, he's somewhat decent as a center back, but he excels playing as a center back. Playing as a right back. That's his strong suit. For Havertz, we don't have that because he doesn't excel playing as a striker. He doesn't excel playing as a number 10. He doesn't excel playing as a number 8. And even last year we saw that in the first half of the season where he was playing as that 8. Right? Where he was playing as that 8. He was something there. He wasn't even good. He actually was ruining the team's balance and everything. And that was the weird one as well. Those were the times when we were playing Thomas Partey as a right back, just so we can play Rice in a 6 and Havertz as an 8. We were specifically doing everything we can to shoehorn him into the team. And for me, Havertz, he's not an Arsenal player. The way Arteta wants to play, the way everything and all that stuff, he's not that type of a player who again will be the guy who is gonna clutch up in the most important times. Yes, he did it once for Chelsea, winning them the Champions League, and he will forever be written in Chelsea's history and Champions League's history for that. But for me, at Arsenal, in over 38 games and everything, he will not be the guy. For me, he will not be the guy. He scored today from 2 feet out. My nan could score that. Let's be real. My 6-year-old could score that. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, I think. But we will have to live with it, see what happens, because there is nobody who's gonna take him off our hands, and even for somewhat decent amount of money. So we'll see how that goes. Play Calafiori as a center back. We could try that. We could. And Havertz in midfield plays, but Havertz in midfield today looked better than he looks at striker. But overall, we have seen him from last season that he's not a midfielder. And overall, we actually have seen him that he's also not a number 9. He's something in between, but he's not also a number 10. As I said, he doesn't excel at anything specifically. He's very decent in multiple positions. And as good as it sounds, that sounds like a proper Mikel Arteta profile type of player. A player that can play in multiple positions every single game when you need him to. Or when something goes wrong and somebody gets injured or a red card or something. Ultimately, for me personally, number 9 should be a spot where you have a specialist. You know, your Lewandowskis, Kanes, who else is there? Haaland, of course, Gyökeres, Isak. You get what I mean, Benzema and everything. You need to have a specialist in that position. And as a left 8, he's decent, but he's also not the one. He's not it at the end of the day. He can do the job to some extent, but there will be games when he will get kind of shut out from the game. And those will be mostly the games where we need the wins the most. Because the teams that need to get the wins, they will know how to shut us down in specific areas. And if we get shut down pretty much from inverting specifically, we get shut down as a left 8, we get shut down from the right, we are done. And Havertz is very easy to shut down because he's not that guy who has the creative ability to take the ball on himself and take the ball by himself alone and create something out of nothing. He doesn't have that ability. So at the end of the day, that for me is the biggest worry why we could have more questions than answers in that regard. How it could go. I heard that Arteta is gonna sign a winter and see. Who is a winter? Sign a winter. He's gonna sign the whole season in a January transfer window. How's that gonna work? And CDM, CM in January. So winter. I assume do you mean winger, right? I assume so. The G and C is pretty close on the keyboard. So he's gonna sign a winger and a number 6/8 in January. Where did you hear that? Because that's very interesting. Because the question is who he's gonna sign, a left winger or a backup for Saka? Winger, right? I assume you mean winger, not a season like Snow and everything, but winger. To play behind Saka in January and a proper DM. That would be very interesting. Where did you hear that? Because that for me is a very interesting news. I haven't heard that ever. Do you have a link to the article or something? Because that would be very, very, very interesting. Tell me where the article is because I would love to read that. Because he's gonna sign a winger for back and a proper DM. So who he's gonna go for? I thought so. It's either Rashford or... Dude, if Rashford comes to Arsenal, I don't even. Lookman would be interesting, but Lookman... The weird thing with Lookman is, though, he's a starter and somewhat established player. He's Atalanta's one of the leaders in attacking front, and he's very highly regarded by many teams, currently, specifically. And I don't think he would want to come to Arsenal to pay the second string for Bukayo Saka. That is the big thing. Because you need to also take into account that many players that will come to Arsenal in specific positions, like let's just say right wing, number 10, right center back, even left center back to some extent, will be under this glass ceiling where in front of you there's a player that Arteta likes much more or quote unquote is better than you and they will never gonna play. So for me, in a way, signing, for example, Buemo, even though he was looking very, very 50-50 today against Nottingham Forest. By the way, Brentford lost the first game at home this season, so that's a weird one. But I would like to have, for example, Buemo. I wouldn't mind having Kudus because he can play also as a number 10. He can also play. He can also play as a right winger. That would be very. If that would be the case, that actually could work. Lookman is great. He can play striker. He can play right wing and everything. That in that regard, Lookman actually would be pretty decent. But would Arteta actually entertain that idea? That would be the big thing because Lookman would cost quite a bit of money, wouldn't he? At the end of the day, Lookman would be quite expensive in my opinion. That for me is the biggest worry in that regard. Lookman actually would be quite expensive. One of my favorite Nigerian players, other than Osimhen. Yeah, could see that. Definitely see that. Those are the big questions because what these days we can name. For me the biggest thing is I look at all these players we are linked with, and there were some players I would love to see at Arsenal, like Alex Baena, random rumor, but I would love to see him at Arsenal. Mohamed Kudus, see, I would love to see him at Arsenal, right? And everything. But at the end of the day, it's one thing when I look from my spectrum that I want to see him at Arsenal. The other thing is, we just cannot go blindly and say, yes, I would take him, because obviously I would take them. But you have to also look at it, since Mikel Arteta is not leaving, you need to look at the way Arteta plays and how Arteta envisions football. You need to look at this, will he fit into the system? Because for me, there are many very talented and very skillful players that have been given freedom in the attack to create. Like Lookman as well, he has a lot of freedom in the attack. Yes, Gasperini has some has coached him well, but he also has given him some sort of a freedom in the attack, how to attack, where to attack, and everything. Like Wenger did with Alexis Sanchez in a free roam type of role. Mikel Arteta doesn't give players freedom. He doesn't give them free roam type of roles. He gives them certain things they have to do. He basically boxes them in, making them some type of a robot. And that generally kills the player's skill ability, the player's output, player's excitement when he's on the pitch and everything. That for me is the big question as well when we look at all these players we potentially could sign. Could we sign and we are linked with? That for me is the big issue. If I see Rashford January, I'm going to flip. Oh, dude, if we sign Rashford in January, man, I already can imagine the stream. I generally can envision the stream that's gonna happen if we sign Rashford. Generally, there will be maybe sleepless nights. There will be some mayhem and everything. There will be some madness going on. Personally, Moller is confirmed to come to Arsenal here. Is this the same? Is this due to the same thing you said yesterday that Fikayas reported it and everything? Is it the yesterday's one where Fikayas reported that? Because if it's Fikayas, I don't trust them whatsoever. That for me is the big thing. Post. Is the press conference out? No, it's still live. It is still live. So the press con. Yeah, December 18th. So the post-game press conference isn't out as of yet. Apparently, Football.London is live with it. So that could be very interesting. No thanks. So, what are they saying? Mikel Arteta's press conference. Anyhow, so player ratings, Kayanag don't care. Gabriel Jesus to Sky. The pressure for the number 9 to score is there. I just want to help the team. Well, kind of get it. He scored twice today. Arteta on Jesus. You have to prepare for your opportunity. That's it. If you fail to prepare, that's it. It's like looking in the mirror at the gym after one day. Sometimes it takes longer, and after a while people say you look different and healthier. It takes time. Which person after one day at the gym looks himself or herself, no disrespect, in the mirror and says, yes, my muscles, I look 3 times better, my muscles are 5 times bigger, and I look like The Rock right now, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Who does that? Like, come on, man. It's basically Eminem settings. One shot, one opportunity. Would you capture it or you make it slip? Basically, that is pretty much what it's all about. It's confirmed. Wait. Molero Arsenal. 1 day ago. According to Core Offside, Arsenal have reportedly reached an agreement to sign Las Palmas attacking sensation Alberto Molero. He's not a sensation, only 4 goals in 17 games. According to Spanish... See, it's according to Ficayas. That's like basically saying sources trust me, bro. One nan said to other nan, which knows my brother's second step cousin's goldfish, who knows the fly that lives on the wall of Molero's house at the end of the day. This news article is very unreliable in that regard. That's the thing. The sole reason why, for example, I use it in my streams when I talk about transfers, when we are linked to certain players, is because I usually double triple check with other news outlets, and they usually kind of coincide. It's not only from Ficayas per se, it's usually from others ones. That for me is, and specifically 50 million pounds release clause in January. That is a nuts one. Bro is a beast now. He's so clinical with his finishing. Okay, let's see this. Alberto Molero. You say he is a beast. Let's check this. He's a beast with his finishing. Alberto Molero. 4 goals in 17 games. Where is the bestiality in his finishing? Bro is a beast in finishing. He's a beast now. He's so clinical with his finishing. 4 goals in 17 games. Where is the clinicality then? I'm sorry, but what? Where is his clinicality? In La Liga, in 2 years, 45 games, 7 goals, 3 assists. Where is this clinicality you're talking about? Doesn't sound too clinical. 28 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. This season, 17 games, 4 goals. Doesn't sound too clinical to me, does it? Doesn't sound too clinical to me. Wait, let me check this. 17 games, 4 goals. Bro, Martinelli has better stats in 15 games at Arsenal. What do you mean this season? He has played 2 games less and has 2 more assists. He has better stats than Molero. Even looking for face value. Yes, he could... How many to 2, I think? It doesn't work like that. Molero to Arsenal. Anything like proper ones, Arsenal reporting it. With 11 goals and 13 assists. Yeah, right. It's according to Ficayas. 50 million release clauses are agreed allegedly and everything. I don't trust this. I genuinely don't trust this. See, 11 goals, 25 points in 128 games. So basically he gets a goal or an assist every 5th game. Every 5 games he plays, he gets a goal and assist. That's not clinical, as you're saying. Genuinely not clinical. I don't know. The signing of Molero could influence Arsenal's pursuit for other attacking options, with the Gunners also linked with Marcus Rashford and Ademola Lookman. Huh. Interesting. We are still linked with them. We are still freaking linked with them. It's very weird that we're still linked with them, though. Very, very weird. Anyways. Anyhow. Anything else there is to report on this regard that on the latest news? Yeah, there's nothing else. So Arteta's interview is still being conducted, I guess, at the end of the day. So we cannot talk about that as much. We can look at some transfer rumors if you want to, everyone. While we wait, I hope we can manage to get there in time. Yeah, it's not out as of yet. Let's see what the other people are saying. Now, trust me, I know he can cook. I'm watching La Liga every single time I can, and that's pretty much every single week. I pretty much watch Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, with Serie A in the third place, and Liga I just don't watch. I'd much rather watch Championship or Eredivisie even. Or Portuguese League, one of those ones. But yeah, I know he can cook, there is a player there. But overall, 21-year-old, 50 million, don't you think that 50 million could be spent somewhere better? Let's just put it that way, somewhere better. Let's just say it that way. Arsenal's next 6 fixtures, though, are nothing great. We have Ipswich at home, Brentford away, Brighton away, Newcastle at home, United at home, and Spurs at home. And there's a big possibility that all these 6 games we will have to play without Bukayo Saka. That is the big question, big thing here. When we play Spurs, January 15th, so that's in a month pretty much, a bit less than 3 weeks. So basically, we might be playing these games without Bukayo Saka. The question is, if Bukayo Saka cannot play for all of these games, because that's in 3 weeks, these games are over course of 3 weeks, and yeah, it looks like Saka could be out for about a month, if not a bit more. So that again raises the big goddamn question. Can we win all these 6 games without Bukayo Saka? Because we have beat Man City, I think, or Liverpool. Who was it? I think it was Man City we beat without Bukayo Saka. No, it was Liverpool. So the big question now arises, can we beat United at Emirates without Saka? Can we beat Spurs? Can we beat Newcastle? Newcastle will be a tough one. Newcastle, I think, is January 6th. That's the Carabao Cup semi-final game as well. The first game is at home, which is not great. I much prefer to play the first game away and the second game at home, but I guess it is what it is. The next 6 games, 4 of them are at home. That could be very vital. I think those 6 games kind of will show where we stand without Bukayo Saka in the team. Because no matter how we look at it, whether you want to admit it or not, and that's a fact, that Arsenal are Saka FC. Because we are solely relying on him over the course of the last 4 or 5 seasons to get points on the board and get us wins. Yes, Saka hasn't scored any major groundbreaking goals like in semifinals or finals to get us trophies and everything. He didn't even play in semifinals or finals when we won the FA Cup. However, he's the guy who usually tends to step up when we have won or drawn certain games. Yes, he may not have the best performances at the time, but Saka somehow has mastered this ability that no matter what the performance he has, he gets GA. That is the big thing. And that is the big question. We cooked Liverpool 3-1 without Saka, Trossard. Yeah, Trossard dominated them. Yeah, I remember that game. That is the case. But that was last year. This year is under Arne Slot. And we have seen what Arne Slot does with the teams. It's nothing easy to look at as well. It's nothing great. They play tomorrow. But yeah, will we win these all 6 games with potentially not having Bukayo Saka? That is the big question for me. That is the big question for me. Premier League schedule. So tomorrow, Everton versus Chelsea. Could Sean Dyche do us a favor? Could Sean Dyche do us a favor and get some points off Chelsea? Because Chelsea at the moment are 1 point ahead of us. They have game in hand. They're gonna play tomorrow. See what happens there. United versus Bournemouth will be a very interesting game. I think Bournemouth will take game to United quite massively. Fulham versus Southampton. Fulham win easily. Leicester versus Wolves. I think Leicester should be winning this. And then the grand finale for the weekend. The dessert. The special game. Spurs with their high line against Liverpool and Arne Slot. I don't want any of these teams to win. I would much love for both of these teams to lose, if there is a possibility of that happening. But no matter how you look at it, it might be a rough one. Only good thing is that Arsenal actually won the game against Palace, so that means we have 3 points in the books, and Liverpool's game in hand. Now, Liverpool's game against Spurs have bigger meaning. Because if we look at the Premier League table, Arsenal currently are sitting third with 1 point behind Chelsea. Chelsea play Everton tomorrow. It will be very interesting how that goes. If Sean Dyche somehow can shithouse a point at home at the old stadium still at Goodison against Chelsea, would be quite fantastic, I'm not gonna lie. The thing is though, the next game is Liverpool versus Spurs versus Liverpool. If Spurs win, they're on 26 points, they get up into 7th place. However, if Liverpool drop points in that game, that would be very advantageous for Arsenal because we actually would have decreased the gap. Because even if let's just say Liverpool draw that game, they are on 37 points, the gap has closed down to 4 points, which actually is not that bad at the end of the day. Let's be real. If Liverpool lose that game, it's even better for Arsenal. Obviously, I don't want to see Spurs to win, but one thing I don't want to see tomorrow is a Liverpool win. If we want to have any chance to actually go for the title like seriously and properly, we need for Spurs to get a result. I'm not supporting Spurs, but I want Liverpool just to drop points. I'm just putting that clearly out there. And Chelsea would be also nice if they could drop points. Man City are sitting 6th in the table. How mad is that? 6th in the table. And to be honest, if Bournemouth beat United, they go above them. So yeah, because of goal difference, they go above them. If Fulham beat Southampton, due to goal difference, they also can go over City depending if they win, let's just say 3-0. They actually also could go over City. City are in a free fall. They're in a bit of a mess at the moment. And I think they will have to try and survive basically till January transfer window so they can buy reinforcements. So if City obviously lost the game and they're going into this January transfer window with a loss, but they will need some massive signings. Martinelli and Trossard need to start stepping up and playing great football in Saka's absence, and Tierney needs to cook. I don't think Tierney is gonna play. That is the big thing. I don't think Tierney is gonna see the pitch ever again anymore, because Miles Lewis-Skelly is starting in the last 3-4 games in Premier League for Arsenal, and when we took him off, we put Zinchenko on, right? And now Calafiori is back from injury. So there is no room for Kieran Tierney anymore. As much as I hate to say this, but Kieran Tierney is not going to play anymore. Because either Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to start and Calafiori is going to come on as a substitute, or Calafiori is going to start and Skelly is going to come on as a substitute at the end of the day. Or even Zinchenko, who knows. But with Calafiori coming back from injury, Tierney's again fallen so low in pecking order that I don't think Arteta actually will start him anymore. I know it's a meme to say, it pains me to say this and everything, but it actually pains me to say this. I'm not gonna lie, because Tierney for me is one of my favorite players at Arsenal. The last player that actually played in that final that we won 5 years ago in the FA Cup, by the way. So it is a bit of a rough one. I think Tierney can help us in some of these matches. He has experience and he can definitely help us. That is the thing. I think Kieran Tierney should play. You think Kieran Tierney should play. I think Nathan as well, Pepper, who usually is in the chat, Ojo, who is in the chat a lot, also thinks, BX Gunner and many people who drop by always think that Kieran Tierney can help. The big question is, does Arteta think he can help? Because only reason it feels like Tierney didn't start the game against Crystal Palace was because Skelly started the game on the weekend, so he needed someone to start midweek. Now Skelly went on in the second half, but now he again is back on the pitch. He started the game. Calafiori is back from injury, which means Kieran Tierney, unless Calafiori gets injured again or something like that happens, he's not going to play. And I don't think he's going to play against Newcastle as well. As much as I would think that he would actually fit very well to play against Newcastle, I don't think that would be the case. I don't think that's going to happen. I generally believe that is not going to happen. Unfortunately. So, next game week 18th. That is straight after Christmas, pretty much 26th of December. City against Everton. Dude, if Everton beat Man City, they're totally washed, to say the least. Newcastle versus Villa, Spurs versus Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth versus Palace, Chelsea versus Fulham. That will be a very interesting game. That genuinely will be a very, very interesting game to say the least. Liverpool versus Leicester should be an easy dub for Liverpool next weekend. And of course, Arsenal play Ipswich on Friday, December 27th at... Whoa, that will be a hell of a late game. That is such a late game. I hate this. I genuinely hate this. It's 10 p.m., 10:15 p.m. my time, so it finishes around after midnight. So I'm not gonna stream, am I? I'm not gonna stream. Yeah, I'm not gonna stream that, unfortunately. So it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. But yeah, and of course, then we have the 29th of December we play Brentford. January 1st, I'm not gonna be live for this game as well. I'm not gonna be live for the Brentford game because I'm going out to celebrate New Year's with family and friends. So I will be back only on January the 2nd. So I'm not gonna also do the streams and previews for those games. The next game, of course, January 4th, the normal schedule will be resumed by then. But ultimately, this is wild. This is wild. Arsenal have players coming back. The biggest question still remains, what is gonna happen with Bukayo Saka? What is going to happen with Bukayo Saka? What are people saying on Saka's injury? Anything new? Mikel Arteta, we are pretty worried about Saka's injury. He grabbed his hamstring and couldn't continue. He will have to be assessed, but we are pretty worried. Oh, yay. Has Arteta ever been this concerned about a player? Like, when he talks in interviews, he usually says, I need to talk to medical staff. Medical staff needs to assess him. I don't have any information yet. And at the moment, and specifically about Bukayo Saka, he's actually letting his emotions go, it feels like. He's saying, we are pretty worried. He grabbed his hamstring, couldn't continue, will have to be assessed, but we are pretty worried about him. It's nothing, it's very, very weird. He never speaks like that about other players. Whenever he speaks about Calafiori, Zinchenko, Odegaard, he didn't say any of these things about them. He only speaks this about Saka, so that either he knows that he's screwed if Saka is hella injured for some extended period of time, or he already knows that injury looks very, very bad. It could be very bad. So reports saying Arsenal and City both offered Olmo a contract for January. I beg Arsenal. If Arsenal signed Dani Olmo, I would be over the moon. Arsenal, Dani Olmo. 2 hours ago, according to The Sun, Arsenal and Man City ready to battle Bayern Munich. Wait, that's according to Sun, so take this with some pinch of salt, but it is what it is. Here it is. The Spaniard could already be in his way to Premier League next month in May transfers. Basically, the situation is Barcelona have registered Olmo only till January, and if they cannot sell a player to allocate funds and open up the wage gap and fund gap, right, they cannot register him for the second part of the season. Which means that in January he becomes a free agent if they cannot do that. And here, that's why there are reports. Barcelona's dire financial situation has meant that the attacking midfielder is only registered until December 31st and looks unlikely to be able to play for the Catalan club in the new year. And there are reports that they are very actively trying to sell Christensen to fund to kind of extending and actually re-signing Dani Olmo to proper deal. But it's not moving anywhere. Nobody wants. I know there are links that Christensen is wanted by Newcastle and everything, but it's not moving. So reports in Spain have claimed that a clause in Olmo's contract means that he can leave Barcelona for free next month, that's in January, if the issue isn't resolved. El Nacional report that Arsenal and Man City have already put down attractive offers to the player in the hopes of convincing him to jump ship to Premier League. While German giants Bayern Munich are also said to be keen on making a move for the former Leipzig man. Barcelona executive Juan Laporta and Deco are understood to be scrambling, to try and resolve the situation but face a battle against the clock. Laporta recently spoke out about his optimism in registering him in time for the new year. The club president said, "We have temporarily registered him and hope to do it definitively." But ultimately, If this is true, where is it? Where is it? This part. El Nacional report that Arsenal and Man City have already put down attractive offers to the player in hopes that they are convincing him to jump ship in the Premier League. I actually would be super excited if that was the case. I'm not gonna lie, I would be super excited if Arsenal actually signed Dani Olmo. That would be a signing that actually would get me excited. Not these zucchini flowers from Italy, Bologna. None of these Mikel Spider-Man memes with Merino and everything. If we sign actually Olmo, I would be actually super excited. I'm not gonna lie. Daniel, exactly, he would be. We could put Odegaard in the 8 and play Olmo in the 10. See how that works out. It's fine, they can sell us Rafinha. For cut price deal only. Special price for you, my friend. And all that stuff. You get what I mean. Because they want about 70 million for Rafinha. I don't think Arsenal should be paying that, but hey ho, here we are. Barcelona won't sell Rafinha. Only player that we could from Barca would be Ferran Torres. I don't want Ferran Torres anywhere near Arsenal. Same goes for Frankie de Jong. I don't want any of those. Even though Frankie de Jong would help Arsenal in the creative part in the midfield. But he's very injury prone, and I don't want more injury prone players at Arsenal. I'm sick of tired of half the back line being injured consistently, Partey being injured consistently, Jesus leaving hospital bed for 2 days and then going back to lie in it. I'm sick of tired of it. That for me is the big no on De Jong. Plus De Jong, I don't know how much De Jong would ask for, but ultimately that's the biggest reason why I wouldn't want De Jong at Arsenal. Because solely it means he would be also already hospitalized at Arsenal pretty much. That for me is a big, big worry. Because if you look at... Wait. Here we go. Every word from Mikel Arteta's press conference. Let's look at some Conman music quickly. Very quickly, let's run through this since Arsenal won 5-1. Shouldn't be too mumuch waffle and negativity. On Bukayo Saka picking up a knock, he felt something in his hamstring, he couldn't continue, and he'll have to be assessed, so we're really worried about that one. On how bad it could be, it's very difficult to say now. They have tested him inside, but very difficult to say how bad it is. On losing Saka to injury after regaining Calafiori and Declan Rice, and Raheem Sterling as well, we lost Raheem yesterday. Blood, you cannot say you have lost Raheem Sterling when you don't play him whatsoever. He's not even on the bench. We don't know for how long as well. Oh my goodness gracious. So to lose 2 players in 24 hours is not good. Unfortunately, with the amount of games that we are playing every 3 days with this schedule, it doesn't surprise me, but the team will react to that. On Jesus' goal scoring week, it's a beauty of football. These things happen. He scored the same amount in 45 appearances in 3 days. That's the thing. In the last 45 games, he has scored the same amount of goals he has scored in the last 2 games. That's how mad it is. He has scored 5 goals and he could have scored a hat-trick today. Great credit to him because he's put so much work into it, so much belief into what he does, and he was patient and he got rewarded. In a way, I have to agree, because the way he got injured and how many injuries he was gaining all the time definitely would make him a bit discouraged about all these things. So overall, the fact that he's back and he actually has some confidence back, that's actually somewhat good. On the difference with last week's game against Everton, we were clinical today because in many things we actually could create. Crystal Palace weren't as compact as Everton was. That's easy. Yeah, and didn't concede more as well because Raya made 2 incredible saves. He made 3 actually, a double save, and then in the first half as well. On if Kai Havertz and Jesus playing together led to sacrifice our defending, yeah, because they were more aggressive than in the first game, which we expected, but we didn't understand whether or not which sequences we had to put and that spaces that we need to create. So we ended up playing too much with David very close to on goal and against them. It's really bad game to play, and we adjusted a few things. When Rice came on, he changed the game, he gave us more dominance, still the same threat, but we were much better. True that. On Jesus can kick on, it has to be. As long as he doesn't get injured, he should be kicking on. On if Saka sustained the same injury he did earlier this season. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same one or the same leg. How do you not know? How do you not know which injured leg was Bukayo Saka? What the hell? Is the 3rd minor injury? Is the 3rd? Holy crap. I don't know how big this one is going to be, but he already had 2 of them. And if we're happy to concede concede control as a payoff to score more goals. I like to be dominant in the right areas. I don't like to concede much. We've conceded nothing in the 4 games. Today we conceded more, especially because we have given 2 big chances. It's always the balance that we want, and when you win, everything is okay. Well, it's not okay. You can still look and adjust and improve. To be honest, sometimes from a win, you can learn more than you can learn from a defeat. You need to also remember that. On how it leaves him feeling at the end of the game, I'm very happy that we won. We needed that win, especially after the 2 draws, but in general, looking at the 10 games, no defeats in the last 7. We've won 5 and gotten 2 draws, and we've deserved to win all of them, so it's good. Wouldn't say we deserve to win all of them, though. Wouldn't say that. Only if he thought Havertz would go back into midfield. He can be... Thought Havertz would go back into midfield. Or if I see Havertz consistently in the midfield, I might flip my wig again. He can play in any of 2 pockets, especially with the way they play as well. And what we expect to have a player to like him, we wanted to do something else. It was going to work because in the way they were set up, so I had to change it, but overall he's a player who can play well in many areas. On keeping Jesus motivated during these tough days, blah blah blah. On if this is our best chance to win the league. At the moment, we are not there yet. It's been 5 years, 800 million spent, phase 5 and all that crap, and we are still not there yet. What the fuck are you talking about? Sorry, excuse my French. And they have a few games in hand. It's so difficult for any team to win it in any competition, so anything can happen. Oh, holy crap. We want to put our noses right in there, brown nosing, and compete the way we are competing every single game. Let's see what happens. We are not even halfway. 2 games to go and we are halfway. See what happens then. But yeah, nothing special from the press conference, some waffle settings. But ultimately, yeah, Bukayo Saka, they are worried. It's not looking good. Is the 3rd minor injury he has had in recent times. And this could be the biggest one he's had in the recent times. So definitely not good. And that is very worrying. That is very worrying. Palace fans hate Jesus. No. Could be the case. Should be the case. Totally can relate to that. Totally can relate to that. When I've played, there have been teams when I have played, right? There are specific teams, and I have no idea why, but there are teams against which ones I always scored more goals than the other ones. There were teams, for example, like on average, I score maybe a goal, 2 goals, goal and assist in overall on average, right? But there were teams where I genuinely managed to score hat-trick almost every single time I played them. Make it make sense. And it's not like that was the worst team in the league as well at the time, or the best one, so I have specific motivation. It was just a team that I actually was playing very good against. It was actually kind of catered to my playstyle. Maybe that's why. But there were teams I actually managed to score, on average, more goals than I actually managed to score against other teams. Maybe that's for Jesus as well against Crystal Palace this time. But ultimately, obviously, hard work pays off. If you hit your hot streak, it is what it is. Because when I played basketball as well, when you're hot, you're on fire. You can pretty much hit every single shot. And if you catch that feeling, you're pretty much unstoppable. And Jesus has done it in the last 2 games, and couldn't have happened at better time after the frustrations against Fulham, against Everton, and teams like that. This was definitely much needed, I'm not gonna lie. Definitely much needed. I think we will sign a winger. Exactly! Spelling error winger. Exactly. That's why I was confused. The whole stream you've been spelling winger as winter. That's why I was confused. I think we will sign a winger from a mid-table club who either beats us or drew with us above. I hope so. Because there are many good wingers from mid-table lower-end teams. There are many of those. Genuinely many of those. It's just the question, will Arsenal do that? Because we haven't done that genuinely, almost feels like in ever. Because we always shop in foreign markets. We never go to these smaller teams and take their best players. Their last one has been Declan Rice. And Trossard to some extent. But Trossard was forced out of the team. You kind of cannot say it that way. Because would have we gone after Trossard if he wasn't exiled from the team? Who knows? Because we didn't get Mudryk. And Trossard happened at the same time. So we got kind of lucky that it coincided at the same time. But we have almost never done that. When we don't go for these wingers for some of these smaller teams. We never do that. And we should. We should be able to go to the smaller team and take some of their best players. We should be. Because Liverpool does that all the time. They did that with Van Dijk, with Mane from Southampton. They did that to Hull City with Andy Robertson and everything. They have done it on a consistent basis. Many teams do that. Arsenal is the only team that doesn't do that. Yes, Semenyo could be the one. Obviously, we talked about Mbuemo. The other one, there's another one. I forgot his name. There's another one. Obviously, Kudus and players like that, but I totally forgot one name. But yeah, anyways, it is what it is. But 3-1 win. Oh, 5-1 win, sorry. I'm super happy, super excited. We finally managed to actually score from open play quite consistently. We created chances, despite the fact that Havertz was in the midfield, actually did good. There was no Partey at right back, which was super fantastic. We won the game. It's all in the books. It's great. It's fantastic. I'm super happy. Now just let's hope we can build on this even more. And Jesus doesn't get blood injured. And let's hope that Bukayo Saka's injury isn't a serious one. Because if he's out for a month or two, it could get a bit dicey. But yeah, for today, that will be it for me. So take care, stay safe, like the stream if you still haven't, subscribe if you still haven't, leave a comment if you're watching this as a playback. Have a great evening and see you all tomorrow.